Just a second. I'll start the recording. Sorry, I forgot that. I just forgot that. So I'm going to teach you in this session the three big shifts essentially the leaders use to create high performing teams in less time so you can achieve your goals without pushing your teams, increase your profits, and make big impact with your peers and bosses. Right. So how many of you would like to learn these three big shifts today? You can put it in the
Yeah,
chat.
certainly.
Or else
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So now, this program or this training session is essentially for high-profile leaders who have high targets, short deadlines, and you need to get a lot done. With your maybe underperforming teams, and also, you need more time basically, and because pushing teams can really be stressing. Or you're a CEO or a top management professional who wants to, finally get rid of the ongoing struggle, anxiety, stress, and overwhelm, and your life currently is in turmoil. You're not able to meet your bottom lines, and you're spending maybe 12 hours plus, maybe 14 hours, 16 hours at work. Or else, if you're a business owner, maybe like Amritpal, who has a business, probably with, somebody whose business is not really doing so well and wants to really scale up the profits, right, and have happier customers while working less time. So this program would be useful for any of these three segments of people. So in the next 45 minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the three shifts which can help you to transform your low performing teams into superstars in a much easier way without really pushing them. And also you learn how to use politics to work for you and your team to scale up their performance. You will also learn in this session how to have a team that consistently delivers world-class results voluntarily, mind you, not like by you pushing them, right? When they really want to do work on their own, right? So you are free with your time. You really don't have to be there. And also you will get to know how, a lot of leaders really are always worried about how do you upgrade your team, skills, right? So that your teams are performing consistently. But that worry we're going to take off in this session. So you don't really need to worry about that. The new way also of how to increase your productivity of the organization, have a stronger business, achieve higher profits, even if you're just a new leader. Right? And even if you know all that you think that there is to know about leading teams, today, what I'm going to show you will actually make it work. Yeah. So, are you guys excited? I'm excited to share this.
Yeah, sure. All are hot topics to address and to
Okay.
learn.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Super. So, another thing which I wanted to share with you is there's a special gift which I have, which I'll share with you, but at the end of the session. So you need to wait till the end of the session, right? And shouldn't be very long, right? It's about 45 minutes. So my big promise here is that we can double your team performance by working less time in the next 90 days, right? So the question I want to ask you is, have you experienced any of these? So the first could be that your teams are not performing. You're not sure if your business or team will survive, and that you'll be able to keep your current business or job or not because of financial or emotional stress. Right? Have you maybe seen that you're constantly behind your teams, trying to have consistent performance, and you're always trying to find better ways to do it. Yeah. You're always firefighting to resolve team issues, and you're thinking of them even when you're at home, which is bringing disharmony in your personal life as well. Some of the leaders also feel this, but I'm just sharing with you this, if this is resonating with you, that even if some team members are performing, others are not performing as well, and you've done everything possible, but it doesn't seem to work. You have a great team, but feel that they can do better, but you just don't know how. You can feel maybe that your peers or your bosses don't always acknowledge you or respect your ideas in meetings and don't give you the credit for your work since your team is not performing as well as theirs. Sometimes you feel that you're not able to lead the team and you feel like, you know, quitting and maybe taking up a new job. So if you resonate with even one of them, you can just put a note in the chat. Just put a comment there if you like. Right. So what is the great news here? The great news is this. This is not the real problem. The real problem is that you just don't know the three shifts. And I'll share that in this session today. So if you know these three shifts, right, if these powerful shifts are known, what it can really do is it can actually put, to work and it can give you a team that you love, they enjoy having to work with you. They perform every month on month. Your performance is double while you work less hours at work. And I'm going to walk you through these three shifts in this session. So once you know these three shifts, what's going to happen is your business is scaling new heights, you're able to make great profits, your team is working in auto mode without you having to worry about them on the month. You're far more relaxed as you know the team is performing on their own and you can be peaceful in the background. As your team members are performing at an optimal level, you're hitting goals on time. You know exactly how to get your team to reach their next best level of performance. And your peers and bosses have complete confidence in you and look up at you, in the meetings, acknowledge you, give you that respect that you always wanted. You are now delighted to be the leader of your team and you're proud of it and you want to devote yourself for them while enjoying every day of what you do. So how many of you would be interested to uh, reach this level in your work?
This is always the goal. So yeah.
Right. So just to give you like a 1 minute intro about me, I basically work with leaders and help them with their team performance. I'm also the founder and CEO of Empower, and I'm also the creator of W Team Performance by working less time in 90 days program. In the last about 29 years that I've worked with the corporates, I've trained more than 1,000 leaders across industries, taking their team performance to the next level, and also helping them to create better bottom line, sustained businesses, essentially. Right? So that's really what I do. And today I'll share with you the exact system we use to help our premium clients transform their team performance from low to high in 90 days while working this time. So my goal is to give you as much value as I can at the time we've got, and then I'll show you how you can get more help if you need it. So let's discover the three shifts. Now, everything I'm going to share with you today comes from our W Team Performance in 90 Days Ultimate Results System. Today, I'm going to share with you just three shifts from here, but of course, we can do another training on the other shifts if you're interested. And maybe if I do it next time, I can do that. So let's get into the first shift, right? And the first shift is past or future. So when you don't have this shift, you've been a star performer in your past organization, but you're always wondering why it's not working here. Your team management strategies worked very well earlier, but somehow they don't seem to show positive results anymore. You keep pushing your teams to get, to perform better, and you still fall back and get the same results. You're constantly trying to find new ways to increase your team performance, but it's not really showing any positive results. You're also wondering what your team needs to learn to ensure that they achieve their goals on time. And you probably have constant customer complaints regarding the team and maybe losing your customers. And you just, are trying to quick fix the solutions, but you're not able to get your hand onto the right final solution. But when you have this shift, you know exactly what to do in your current organization to increase your team performance. You don't need to push your teams anymore to get them to do their job. You know what team management strategies to use to increase the team performance with ease. And you don't have to find, any more ways to increase the team performance, every time finding a new strategy, new thought. Right? Now you learn the magic that can take your team performance to the next level, and you know exactly how to keep your customers happy. So the first shift that I'm sharing with you is to recreate your personal ethos. And this comes from our first pillar, which is called the winning self. Right? So we have three pillars to this entire ultimate result system. The first one is winning self, and the first element in this is called the recreating personal ethos. Right. So I just want to take a few minutes to explain you a little bit about this case study that I'm about to share with you. Of course, all of us know about Nelson Mandela, right? And who doesn't know about him? Nelson Mandela was finally released from prison in 1990s over like 27 years of unbroken incarceration. And 18 years of this was spent in Robben Island, wherein he spent years of isolation. And after his release, basically there was a civil war, and the civil war kind of ended once he was released. And after that, the African National Congress won about 63% of the vote at the election, and Mandela, as a leader of ANC, was inaugurated on 10th of May 1994 as the country's first Black president. The caption that you see here, "I'm the master of my fate and I'm the captain of my soul," is something which he wrote for himself while he was in the prison in these 27 years. And he believed in this completely. But once he came out of the prison, he was asked this question: you can win an election, but can he really run the country? Which he thought was a very legitimate question. And the question I want to ask you also is that, many times, and most of us have grown into leadership positions, either by way of our work in the past, or we've got a new job, and so we've got the promotion, right? So getting a position is very easy, but how do you keep that position is a tough task, isn't it? And I think as all leaders, we all know that it's not a cakewalk really to be able to lead your people every day, and especially large teams when you're talking about countrywide teams. Team management is a very complex topic, and that's why it's always a topic of discussion. But what happened with Nelson Mandela, coming back to this story, is that when he joined his office, he faced a lot of issues, including economic stagnation, unemployment, rising crime. At the same time, the blacks, aspiring against the whites. So it wasn't easy for him either, right? Now, as I go along today, I want to share a little bit more about this case study, and you'll probably gather from this a lot of insights. So when he came back in 1990, was of course greeted by a lot of people. But when he joined his office, a lot of whites left his office. And as you can see on the right side, this particular picture, this was a talk which he was addressing to all his white staff when he joined the office. And what he mentioned to them is, past is past. What has happened is happened. But if you're here because of you want to stay here, you're absolutely welcome. But if you want to leave, you're also most welcome to leave. But if you want to leave because you're scared that a black will take the president's position and you need to report to a black, and you need to be scared of that you don't need to worry about. And so this was the address that he had, the first address. Now, why am I sharing this with you is a very important story, which again, I'll mention this to you maybe after this slide. The other thing was that there was a Springboks rugby team, South African rugby team, right? And the history of South African rugby team is that it started in 1891, and when the British Lions first basically used to come to South Africa and used to play against the African representative sides. And since the end of apartheid, which is 1991, blacks always played against the Springboks. And when they got into power, when Mandela got into the power, he was faced with a situation where his entire political party wanted to eliminate Springboks as the name because they were so against it. In fact, to the degree that when he used to be in the prison, he used to also vote for, vouch for the other team, not Springboks. So even he was against that. But when he came into power and he realized that this wouldn't really work, this fight between the blacks and whites is not going to work. And so it was a challenge for himself also to break his own belief system, right? So why would he want to break that belief system, which is always carried, into this new position that he's in? Was because he couldn't run the country if he was dividing them, right? So the question I want to ask you is, what is the past that is blocking your future? Because a lot of us have this past, whether it is something that we've learned primarily because of our experiences in the past, or something maybe that we've not really enjoyed, an experience like maybe not as bad as Nelson Mandela, but yeah, it could be something, not a very positive experience also. Sometimes those experiences block us to move forward into our future. And one of the top factors when I discuss with the leaders, during my sessions with them, one of the basic problem we all have is that we have these preconceived ideas about what we should be doing in this current situation. And we don't look at it from a fresh perspective. So we keep those belief systems in our head and we still want to follow that. So maybe you want to mention this in the comment. If not, it's also very, it's confidential. You can keep it to yourself. But if there is something that's blocking your future, maybe we need to think about it. And what really happens is, I'll just share with you. You see, there are two types of forces that work with us, right? One is driving forces, the other is restraining forces. The forces that are restraining us is basically the fear of change, right? Like if you see Nelson Mandela's case or any leader's case, when you get into a new position, you're worried about what's going to happen, right? Change that you're expecting. What would be the impact of that decision that you might make? What would be the environmental constraints that are pulling you back? At the same time, the driving forces could be the positive expectations and future results, So when you look at this Y and the X axis here, if your driving forces and your restraining forces are both not working, then, this is nothing. You're at a null point, right? But if your restraining forces are higher and your driving forces are very less, then you're really going backward. However, if your restraining forces, are also on the high side, and you're also, the driving forces are on the high side, which basically means, two sides, like each of us have sub-personalities, right? So both our sub-personalities are pulling us in two different directions. If that's the case, then it's like, you have a rope and equal teams pulling in two different directions. It just doesn't move, right? Nobody moves, it stands still. But only if your driving forces are stronger and your restraining forces are on the lower side, then you can move forward. And maybe a lot of us are trying, and maybe we are in this phase, but what we are talking about is not just moving forward, but actually scaling forward much faster, which is this sweet spot, where one of the top 4% leaders that we're talking about. Those are the leaders who can actually, without having to worry about the fear of change, the impact, the environmental constraints, whatever have you, they are able to take right decisions like Nelson Mandela, the right decision at the right time, moving forward with the team, right? Wherein he didn't bother about what the blacks would say, he didn't bother about what the whites would say. He knew this was just the right thing to do. Very, very confidently, you're able to make that change within you first. Because as a leader, we all know we have to make the change within us first before our teams can look up to us and follow us, right? So um, the first and best victory is, yeah, to conquer self, right? And that's the biggest, I think, and the most important, I can say the element of our entire program. Because if the foundation is not strong, we cannot build a castle on this, right? So this is very important. Now, some breakthroughs that maybe you can, think of. These are some things which, what I'm mentioning here is in all our discussions and all our conversations with senior leaders, these are the things that we found, and some of the breakthroughs that they've been able to come up with are these. So one of them is a lot of us are taught by, our past bosses, and sometimes not such the right things, yeah, and we end up following that. Like sometimes maybe a boss has not treated you well in the past, and you feel this is the right way to do it as well in the future, even though it's not right, but this is what works for him, so it will work for me also. Yeah. So maybe that could be a breakthrough here, that what he's taught you in the past may not always be right. The other could be that, a lot of, it's human, right? Somebody who gets along with you well at work, you think they are the best at work. It's not always true. There are some people who may not be very, pally with you, very friendly with you, but they could be fantastic at their work. But have you figured it out? Have you found that out? Have you actually tried to spend that energy and trying to find out who in your team could be really good at something? Learning the real capacity of the people, yeah. Finding out who are the gems in your team, really, and without any prejudices. Understanding that people don't work only for money, and I can learn what drives them. Now, this is coming from also a lot of research done by various organizations, consulting organizations, that it's not just the money that is driving people to come to work. And it's not only the relationship also. It's also the relationship, not just between the team members, but it's also the relationship with the leader that drives them to work. Yeah, there are also simpler ways to motivate people. You don't have to always be, behind your people to get the job done. Yeah, many leaders feel that, I should, because I'm in a position, when I take up a position as a leader, I should know all the answers. I'm the know-how. People are looking at me. It's not always the case, right? So, I mean, you can also learn a lot of things from your own team members. In today's time, when we were, discussing what are the new things that businesses are doing, a lot of businesses, business owners said that we're coming up with a financial strategy, we're coming up with a fantastic business strategy, but where was the people strategy? It was missing, right? And the people strategy only started coming when the COVID was hitting us very bad. Yeah, when people were falling out. That's when they realized the value of the people. So finally, people are actually driving bottom lines and the companies. And today, some businesses are valuing it. They're able to understand that, but a hard way, right? Over so many not very positive experiences. So these could be some of the breakthroughs. Yeah. The question for you is, where are you currently? Where would you want to be? And what is the gap? So also quickly, I just want to say that, there was a study done by Forbes that good and bad leaders both affect bottom lines. So there was a study done on roughly around 5 lakh, different reports of teams, 360-degree reports of about 50,000 managers in a Fortune 500 bank. And what they found out is the bottom 10% leaders, which is not so good leaders, they make a certain amount. The mid leaders, which is 80%, good leaders, so to say, make double the amount, yeah, of profits. And the great leaders, which is just about 10%, make again the double amount of this. But if you see, it's 4 times of the poor leaders, maybe more. Right? So what we know is that if you are a great leader, you can actually double your team performance. You can actually increase your profits, right? So it's not theory. It is something that is happening. It is something that is practical. Right? Question is, do we know how to do it, right? Now, the steps basically would be, first of all, we need to recreate our personal ethos by finding out which are the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. The second would be figure out what are the experiences, the references, or the interpretations which are controlling them, in your past, and then transform these new, into newer experiences, references, or interpretations. So when you do this right, you can actually create wow relationships with your team. Your strategies will increase the performance of your team immediately. Your teams will work without being pushed. And even if you're not present, the work will still keep happening. So you obviously will have freedom of time that we're talking about. So the bottom line is that you will learn how not to let your past achievements or failures hold your future success. You will rebuild your personal thoughts effectively by inculcating certain behaviors and skills to lead your team more effectively. And your transformed leadership style will pull the team towards you voluntarily, eventually building a strong team and strong bond with you, team bond with you forever. And the question now is the decision. So, are you ready to shift from your past beliefs and behaviors to a more result-oriented belief and behaviors? Now, I'm not asking you to think at the moment which past and beliefs and behaviors and what you would do. I'm not asking for the how and what you're going to do. But in principle, are you open to a change? That's the question. You can put a comment in the chat box if you feel that, yes, you are open to that. See, this is also a choice, right? So, like Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that, just a second, give me one. I'm running out of battery. Sorry about that. So the question is that, if we want to really make that choice, to make that shift, right? And of course, if you make that change or that, shift, there could be a lot of growth and, of course, freedom as well, right? So I saw only one person saying, yes, you're interested to make the shift. Is there any question anybody has at this point that I could address? And then maybe we can.
No, I was using emojis to respond.
Okay. All right. Okay. Super. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. All right. All right. So, yeah, so I just wanted to remind you, wait till the end because it's a special gift. It will be there for you guys. And I'm sure it'll be interesting. So let's go to shift number 2. And the shift number 2 is to navigate or retreat, right? So when you don't have this shift, you get overwhelmed by the hidden concerns in the team. Um, you find it difficult to manage your team that comes from a diverse background, um, cultures, mindsets, beliefs, and behaviors. Yeah. You're not able to manage maybe power struggles and conflicts in the team. Workplace seems like a battle zone all the time. Yeah. You just don't know what's happening behind the scenes. And there's an increase in attrition in your team as well. While you feel like you're filling a bucket with a hole every day, and your teams are less participative and don't contribute towards achieving goals. Now, this particular shift is essentially based on Douglas McGregor's theory, which is about theory X and theory Y. And Douglas McGregor was an American management professor at MIT Sloan School of Management, and he also taught at IIM Calcutta. And in his book, Human Side of Enterprise, he talks about these two particular theories. So theory X is basically that people are motivated by carrot and stick approach, or an authoritative and control approach, wherein theory Y is that human behaviors or humans are essentially motivated by their own own self motivated or self control. So as you can see, the second pillar that we have is transforming human experiences, and the first pillar in that is called strategizing politics. Now politics is a very when we mention about politics, it's a very um, controversial subject, right? um, Now the question I want to ask you is, did you know that when people leave, the cost of attrition basically can cost a company between 1.5 to 2 times an employee's salary, annual salary. Like for an example, Gallup says that if you have 100 employees and an average salary is on $50,000, it could have a turnover and replacement cost of $660,000 to 2.6 million per year. Yeah. And a lot of people in organizations leave because of politics, right? Losing people is not just about money, it's also about losing people who can actually do the job for you, are constant winners, maybe innovators, problem solvers. It also weighs a lot on the employee morale if people are leaving because of politics. um, Also customer relationship, it has a strong impact on that, your brand value, right? um, Now, there was another study done by Gallup. It says 52% of voluntarily exiting employees says that their managers or organizations could have done something to prevent them from leaving the job. Right. So that's not a very good thing, right? That's not a very great place to be in as an organization. So when you have this shift, yeah, that we're talking about, you will be more confident and you'll be in control of any behavioral concerns that will come in your team. You'll also be aware of how to manage your team that comes from diverse backgrounds, mindsets, beliefs, and behaviors. You'll be able to navigate through peer pressures, power plays, and other, behind the scenes coalitions. Uh, Workplace will be fun and exciting, and you'll be able to get along with your teams, enjoy working together. You'll also understand the informal and social networks. You'll have high quality connects and relationships at work. Your teams will not only participate but come with you, come to you with ideas and solutions. They'll also be able to focus and scale up their performance to the next level, and there will be hardly any or maybe very little attrition in the team. So I want to introduce this shift with the story back to the Nelson Mandela story, and about the Springboks team, if you remember. Now what has happened is that when when there was a discussion about taking off Springboks, right? Nelson Mandela didn't want that. Now, I also told you why, but there was another reason. The reason was that he wanted financial investments from America, from UK, from Saudi Arabia to come into South Africa to build the country, to rebuild the country, let's say. And that wouldn't happen if there was a political scenario, which is the conflict between blacks and whites. So he knew that sports can bring blacks and whites together, and that would absolutely happen if Springboks won, because Springboks is a South African team now. So if it won, it would obviously have the votes of the blacks, and since it was originally a Brit, team, it would obviously have the whites supporting it as well. So this was a very calculated plan he used to manage the politics that was going on at the moment in the country. And he invited Francis Pienaar to come and have a tea with him. And he asked him, what is it that he's doing to inspire his team? And he shared with him the poem that he got inspired by in his, when he was in the prison. That got Francois motivated, and he built his team with a different vision, with a different thought process completely. And in 1994, the team won the first, um, you know, competition, which was, it was worldwide championship that they won in 1994. And this was the first time. Of course, after that, in 2007 and then in 2019 as well, they won the World Cup. But this was the first time that actually they won the World Cup. Right? And it brought actually the entire country together. So this is the time when Nelson Mandela was handing over the trophy to Francois, right? And if you guys are really interested, you can watch this film called Invictus. It's called Invictus. I can text it to you. Fantastic movie. It is actually on this entire story. You can watch it to understand the finer nuances of leadership that you can learn. But why am I sharing this with you here today with you is not to promote the film, but to actually show you how you can navigate the politics in your own organization for the benefit of the organization. Yeah. Now, just a few facts about the politics paradigm, right? So we all know that dysfunctional politics can actually sink an organization, but it can also be a force for the good, right? It can actually work better for you also. Now, politics is normal in any place which has more than 2-3 employees, there will be some sort of politics. The reason a lot of times is because the sources are, limited, or, there is a, social and structural inequalities. People have different individual personal motivations also, right? It can also be a hidden barrier to an effective strategy execution, because many times, if you see in a meeting, let's say, people are you can feel the politics in a meeting, let's say, right? But if you just ignore it, you may not get the right inputs, you may not get the fresh ideas that could have come from those sources, right? So basically, if you can find ways to allow the differences to be there, and also find a way to execute that particular strategy in the right way, you can actually go beyond the regular rules and norms of an organization. And this is really, I'm talking a little like the sweet spot we were talking about, really that place. These are the slight differences the top leaders really make. They know exactly how to strategize politics. They know in the right way by knowing, people, by learning about how to network, finding out what are the informal relationships in the organization, and inspiring people at the same time. And I can see that in this case study, as you can also understand, and if you watch the film, you probably understand it even better. Nelson Mandela actually uses his people skills, his informal relationships. He builds a relationship with the captain. He coaches him how to become an inspiring leader for his team, and then that team actually wins the World Cup, right? So if you learn this, it can really work very well for you. Yeah. So basically, when we talk about leaders, there are two types of leaders, right? One who's focused on his self-growth, the other is focused on the organizational growth. If you are, focusing only on your, self-growth and, I mean, very less on your self-growth and very less on your organizational growth, we call him a senseless leader. It doesn't make any sense. He's just doing nothing really. The other one is self-focused, where you're only focusing on yourself, right? And this is probably where we think that politics comes from. But a lot of times it's not true. And I'll share with you why. Third is when you're only, focused on the organization and not at all on yourself. This is also not a very great place to be. But the fourth one, which is a successful leader, right? Somebody who is focused on his own growth as well as on the organizational growth. This is the right place to be, because everybody needs to move to the next level as well, right? And it's fine to be selfish. It's okay, and it's a human trait. If you're not self-oriented, it's not it's not possible. You have to focus on yourself, but at the same time, you should also focus on the organizational growth. It should go together, hand in hand, right? And if you're here, if you can actually come here on the top, where you really know how to build the organization along with your own self-growth, right? This is the right place to be in. The question I want to ask you is, where are you right now? So are you struggling? Maybe where your growing team politics is killing the organizational growth. You're unable to find ways maybe to manage the internal pullbacks for new ideas. Work environment is not very motivating and attrition is rising. Or maybe you're in the middle where you're just striving, you're trying to work on the, finding the way or the reason why it is, the politics are there in the organization. You're working on limiting the power plays in the team. Your environment is improved, but still not there. Attrition is kind of contained. Or you're really successful. You're able to strategize politics to achieve goals. The team is working in harmony with each other. The environment is stress-free. It's a happy situation. And there's no attrition to team politics. So I'd like to have a little engagement here. So if you can tell me where you are as a leader, where do you think your teams are?
I would say I'm still on the strive side. I'm still trying to get to the success level. Yeah.
Anyone else like to share?
I was looking for an option in between strive and success. So, touchwood, in our organization, politics is not much to a great extent, considering the amount of people who are working with the organization are quite old, so more than 5 years, 7 years, 10 years working together. So
That's great.
that leaves no scope. Yeah, that leaves no scope for the politics. But yes, it's a mix. When you have people working, new people, maybe a year or a 2-year-old people working in the system who are not yet gelled with the organization culture. Yes, some incidents or some examples, do come in front. But yes, on a safer side, yes, it is. I would say it's strive as of now, not a success. Um, Fully success, somewhere in between strive and success
Sure.
is what my assessment is. Vivek, you would like to say something on this?
Exactly, sir. I was actually going to say that we're in between of strive and success. We if you ask me a bit more on the success side rather than the strive side,
Yes.
I think the equation is quite good. It's just that the situation is something that is holding certain sentiments. But I think we are towards the success side rather than the strive side.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's nice. So that's a good thing to find. And if you're already able to reach this is great. And of course, it's a constant work, as you know, we were discussing earlier also, you know, people, relationships, resources, expectations, and also trying to navigate through tough times like these, especially. It can be difficult also, but yeah, if you're able to manage, that's I mean, that's perfectly fine. That's super, right? So basically, just for I guess Amritpal, I'll just share with you. So how it would be done would be that, it's fairly simple. So understanding how to strategize your politics, um, building skills to navigate, and finally navigate and create a stronger team, right? So these are simple 3 steps. Now, what you would really want to do would be to find the real influencers, the hidden authority. Sometimes people in organizations that we've seen is, um, it's not always that people who are at senior positions that actually, uh, are kind of well respected. There could be somebody not very senior also who could be respected and who could be kind of influencing, people, right? Of course, champions, mentors, and the brainy ones, right? Also, to understand the informal social networks, how people interact, what's going behind the scenes, what happens out of office, their relationships, any conflicts, yeah. And then coaching and mentoring them to achieve their personal and professional goals. So these would be the basic steps that one could follow. And of course, when you follow these 3 steps, you can become the leader that truly, cares for the team, because now you have a fantastic relationship with the team, because the team respects you not just because you are a great leader, gets a job done, but that you understand how to navigate and how to work through uh, relationship or politics related issues. You'll also get the best people to work for you because you have that end skill, which is slightly unique. You'll also be able to create amazing transformations with in your team, because there's really nothing stopping them now to kind of reach their best performance. You'll also scale your business without any stress, and you'll be able to become the leader that knows how to strategize politics, finally giving you the time freedom that you want, because now the team can understand that, respects you, trusts you, and things happen clockwork. So the bottom line would be that when you understand the politics can positively work for you in implementing strategies, like in this case, you will really don't have to worry about them. Yeah. In fact, you will utilize your social and networking skills to enhance the productivity of the team, channeling the politics in a positive way. You'll be able to feel more confident in managing your teams and any people related concerns in future. So the decision time is that, are you ready to navigate or strategize your politics to create positive impact in your team performance? So I guess I got the answer so from most of you, so it's okay. I'll just move ahead. Now, this is the most important shift which I feel in today's session, and I'll quickly get into it. So the shift is information or transformation. Now, when you don't have this, you'll have loads of information and be confused and won't experience a transformation. You feel alone, unsupported to reach your goals and dreams. This is also the reason 96% of people never actually start or give up on their dreams and goals. Also, one reason why most of the leaders get stuck and never succeed in being able to become the leader their team can literally die for. Now, when you make this shift, you will get the very best results for yourself and be able to become the leader the team can die for. You'll always have someone to support and guide you in increasing your team performance and become the leader your team can do anything for. Your success as a leader of having high performing team is almost guaranteed. You'll radically increase your chances of achieving significant and meaningful business and life goals and dreams. So this is the ultimate result system. What I shared with you today, the 2 shifts that we shared, the just to recap, recreating personal ethos and strategizing politics. There are also other shifts which we can share in the training. So now the old way of thinking is, I need a lot of information to become a better leader. Right? And many times when I share a workshop, a lot of people love to come for my workshops because they feel that they can learn a lot of things from information, gathering a lot of information, more and more information. But what also happens is it can lead to confusion, and it can lead to just simple band-aids, or no real change. Just a quick fix feel that you get. That okay, I learned something today, but there is no change. And then you go back into this cycle again. One day somebody offers you a program, and then you again go into this. So it's all talk, no result. Yeah. Now the new way of thinking is this. The new way of thinking is focus on transformation. Work with a mentor or a coach with a results system and get breakthrough results. Why? I'll share with you why. How would it work? Because this is actually the cycle of growth. When you focus on transformation and you work with a support system, it can give you the results. But if you just keep thinking that I learned something and I will implement it one day, it just doesn't work. It's like, I don't know how many of you would, in these COVID times, maybe a lot of us have put on a little weight, would like to lose at least 4-5 kilos. Yeah. Maybe some of us are very regular in our exercises, but there are some of us who are very lazy, and probably not because we want to be lazy, just because, we can't, do it. It just doesn't happen. Tomorrow I want to get up in the morning, 5 o'clock, go for my yoga class, but I keep thinking about it. Not that I don't know yoga is not good. Not that I don't know physical fitness is not good. I know it. I've attended many workshops on it. But getting up in the morning and going for that session, that's an effort, right? So what happens is you're thinking about it, you've got information about it, but there is no change. Nothing happens. So this new way of thinking can actually break you through that barrier and get you the results that you really want to achieve. And I'll just quickly share with you the myth of transformation. Now, a lot of us are, when you talk about change, there is an emotional state right here. And then there is a time, right, that you need to make that change. What happens is when we start, like let's say I decide to go for yoga class, okay? I learned something today. I learned some fantastic things, and I felt that, okay, this guy teaches fantastic yoga. I should start attending his workshop tomorrow morning, right? And what I think is, I think I'm going to move from point 1 to point 5 immediately, right? But in reality, what happens is this. I may go tomorrow morning for yoga class. We call it uninformed optimism. I'm very excited to go for my first session. Yeah. But by the second, third, or fourth day, I move from optimism to pessimism. I feel, oh my God, this is just not going to happen. I can't get up every day 5 o'clock in the morning. I have late hours of work. I'm tired. Really, you have your n number of excuses why you can't do it. And slowly you start falling much below the state, which is called informed pessimism. Now I know it's not going to work, right? And then we call it the valley of despair, where we know it's just not, working out for me. And from here to come back here and then success and fulfillment is a big journey, which many of us are not able to cross. What we usually do is we go back one fine day again on a YouTube class or some session somebody said, and again start this whole journey till here. Right? And this is not just for fitness, it is for any change that you want to bring in our life. It could be, the time that maybe you want to spend with loved ones, or something change, any new change that you really want to do. Many times we think about it, but we're not really able to execute that. Now, we call this a dead zone. So many of us, we can fall here, and that whole idea of going for fitness just doesn't work for me. That's what I come to a conclusion. Right? And I'm never able to come from here to here. Now, this is where a qualified and an expert coach or a mentor who has the right skills can help people quickly and smoothly cross this particular dead zone and achieve success and fulfillment. And this is not easy. And I can tell you that even if even if you're on my program, it's not easy. I can tell you, there are people who join my program. They start here, they're very excited, they come here, and you know, it's an effort really for us as well to work with those people, those clients of ours, to help them to move from here to here. So this is a journey which only can happen when you have a mentor and a coach, sorry, who really knows how to work with you and help you to cross this. Sorry. Now, all top performers in every field have coaches and mentors who have specialized result system or method. And I'll just share with you very quickly some of the top people in the world. Like, I mean, I'm sure all men here would know Muhammad Ali, right? Who had a coach called Angelo Dundi. Ramakant Achrekar was Sachin Tendulkar's coach. Seth Riggs was Michael Jackson's coach. So all these guys had coaches. Phil Jackson used to be Michael Jordan's coach. Tony Robbins, one of the highest paid coaches in the world, he still has two coaches, Jim Rohn and John Grinder. Al Pacino, the Hollywood actor, Strasberg. Bill Gates. Bill Campbell used to be a coach for Bill Gates as well as Steve Jobs. So, yeah, Vivek, of course, we need to have self-discipline as well, of course. Always, it's important to have self-discipline, but, all these guys that you see here, you think they don't have self-discipline? Of course they do. They are, otherwise they won't be where they are. But at the same time, they are also human beings, right? So we are all humans. We can have slip-ups. We can have situations where we don't feel like following our goals, right? There are always times when we can get demotivated and we feel that it's not happening for us. And all of us, even including these top guys in the world, they all need to have some or the other mentor or coach. Of course, in the history as well. Krishna and Dronacharya used to be the coach for Arjun. The question is, who is your coach? And when we talk about coaching, why I'm mentioning this to you is also just to let you know that it's a very powerful process, and it's something only if you experience you will realize it. And I won't do too much of information on that at the moment, but yeah, that's a very, very important aspect of this program. So what should you look for in your mentor and a coach? First thing that you should look for is that they should have a specialized premium coaching program, which should basically have an ultimate result system, which ensures that you will get your result in a certain time period. It should be a step-by-step system with proven formulas and strategies, training exercises and templates, which helps you to basically focus and get the result that you want to have. The other thing that the system should have, the program should have, would be an engaged and supportive community of people who can actually bring you some support, some fun, and friendships. So you don't want kind of work on your own. There's a team that is working with you. Also, it brings a little bit of engagement, inspiration and motivation, partnerships, synergies, working with people. And the third is basically the deep transformation coaching. Now, I'll explain a little bit about this as well, which basically brings in the support, right? So this part would bring in the leverage, and deep transformation coaching would bring in the support. And what deep transformation coaching would be focused on would be the mindsets. Right? Like you were saying, we have to be disciplined. Of course, we know what needs to be done, but there are times when you just don't feel like getting up from your bed and going, right? It just can't be. How do you do that? How do these world-class champions get up every day and do it? Because they have a coach, they have a mentor, right? They have somebody to be accountable to as well. So that's where we talk about, when we talk about deep transformation coaching, we also work on the mindset and the performance coaching, right? We remove any internal resistance that you're having on your own. Right? You sometimes you yourself are pulling yourself back. Also to bring in the accountability, like I was saying, and supporting and challenging the person, right? So in any coaching program, these are the three areas that we need to focus on. And if you can have this, you have wow results. Each of the coaching programs that we are talking about here, any of these, which has all the three, are high value programs, right? Many of the coaching sessions that we've seen, which are done by premium coaches all over the world, at least start with 2,000 upwards, $2,000 and upwards, right? 2,000, 5,000. Sometimes even they charge $10,000. But that is because they ensure that impact. They ensure that you will be able to get that result that you want. They'll be able to work on your internal resistance. They'll be able to get you the accountability. They also be having an engaged and supportive community, which basically this whole package brings the real result that you want. Okay. So very quickly about deep transformation coaching. So basically this is what we focus on. So, on the top, as you see the iceberg theory, on the top you see the actions, and below that is the habits, the thinking patterns which are driving the habits, belief systems which drive the thinking, your personal values which build in your beliefs, and your identity which creates personal values, and finally your core values which drives all of this. So we really work at this level. We do not work, when we work on this automatically changes. So that's how we work. So basically you need to choose a coach which takes you from point A, your current result, to your desired result, the wow result that you want. And all these, as you can see, are valley of despair that you can cross through to reach this result. This could range from anywhere from 3 to 12 months. 3 months, sometimes we do 3-month program, 6 months or 12 months, depending on what is the result and how long we need to work on that goal. So the question I want to ask you is, if you look at your current situation where you're currently maybe, burdened with stress and tension and concerns at work, maybe even psychological trauma some of the leaders face in trying to manage the stress at work, and maybe financial security as well, because the business is not doing always very well. So what's the cost that you end up paying for that? And of course, what about the physical and mental health? Where is it going? And how much money is going to drain in your own maybe medicines if someone falls sick because the stress and tension. It's a lot of business people. Really, you hear everyday stories, right? So what is the loss that you would have if you don't repair that? On the other hand, investing in your business in terms of your time, efforts, and money right now, might be appearing to be expensive, but also this is, in terms of investment, can actually change the way you live and raise your own standards, as well as raise your business level to the next level, give you the time and money freedom that you want, right? So this is where you are, and this is where you want to probably look at. Just sharing this with you because these are some of the factors most of the business people face. Lack of team trust, maybe attrition, low productivity, not able to achieve the goals, reduce profits, financial loss, no free time, high stress, lack of respect from peers, grade from bosses, losing self-confidence, and not able to fulfill your life dreams. On the other hand, we have this personalized support system with a coach. You can work one-to-one, we do hand-holding, we work with you till you achieve that result. So, and of course, there is an effort to transform. It's not cakewalk, it's going to take an effort. It is work at your end, but as coaches, we support you in that process. And we ensure that you reach that finishing line. So, any questions so far? Anyone has, before I just conclude the last bit? If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat box. So this is the ultimate results system. I quickly wanted to show you what we are doing here. This is the 3 pillars. So Winning Self, Transforming Human Experiences, and Soulful Leader. And in our entire program, we walk through these 6 elements. Maybe in another session, I can share with you more about these shifts. So basically, the steps, Specialized Ultimate Result System steps would be the Winning Self, where you can decide to work on yourself and your communication with the team. Transforming Human Experiences would be designing human experiences to inculcate a culture of positive relationships and innovation that works. And Soulful Leader, where you discover what your team really wants and keeping them happy. So when you do this right, you'll become the leader that knows how to bond with the team. You'll love yourself as a leader, and you'll create wow results for your organization while working less time and scaling your business. So the bottom line here in this shift is that we don't need more information. What we need is transformation. And the reason you haven't maybe succeeded is not your fault. It's just that you don't have the right mentor or coach with an ultimate result system. People probably give you band-aids or quick fixes that don't really work. And what you really need is a complete solution and a full support. See, all top achievers, performers have at least one specialized expert and a coach, specialized result system or method. So when you work or you need to work with a coach, with a specialized coaching skill and an ultimate result system. And you need to specialize in becoming the leader that can be there for your team, and your team performance will automatically double, triple, or even quadruple. Right? So if you can specialize in this, how to be the best leader for your team, which is through the ultimate result system that we offer, it can help you to scale up your performance anytime. So today I promise that I'll show you the step-by-step plan that I'm using for my premium clients to double their team performance while working less time. And I will show you how to have your teams trust you completely so that they can have better productivity and profits. I also told you that you'll have a way to have your team perform without having to push them. You'd also be able to use politics to increase your profits. And finally, a way for you to lead your team such that you not only become the leader that your team can literally die for, but also have the time freedom you always wanted. So my goal today was to give you as much value as I could, in the short time that we got. And I promised I'll show you how you can get more help. So the sad truth is that 96% of the people watching this are information gatherers, and they're not committed and won't take any action. They'll probably never invest in coaching, and they will not change the situation of life. Only 4% of you watching this presentation right now are action takers, and you're committed and ready to do what it takes to get the results we talked about today. Now, if that's you and you're in the top 4%, congratulations, you're committed and you're ready to take action. I have something very special to offer you. And it's a very special invitation. Now, this invitation is basically that my team has set aside, along with me, the next 48 hours to offer you a one-on-one call about how you can apply some of these shifts in your life starting today. Now, this particular call usually is, we charge at least about $200 for this one call, but only because you've stayed till this end and you've been a part of this entire webinar, we're offering this complimentary to you. So whatever your biggest challenges are relating to building a high-performing team, trust me, we've seen it, we know how to overcome it. And you don't have to really struggle to figure out yourself, because in this call, which is a completely free call, right, we're going to help you with this. Now, what we're going to do is 3 things. First is, what's the easiest way we can get you to have high-performing teams, create high performance with your teams? What you could do that will ensure, doubling your team performance in the next 90 days or less, and what's the best strategy you should be having to remove any roadblocks on the way. These are the 3 things that we're going to cover in that call. Now, who's this for? It's somebody who's obviously leading a team. Your teams have to deliver results, and you're willing to work on yourself. to double your team performance while working this time. This is not for three types of people. People who are plodders, basically, they take a long time to decide that, whether this is for you or not for you. The second could be, people who think that I already know everything, I don't need to know. I love working with people who are blank slates, who really think that they want to grow as a leader. And the third is the type of people who just want to try it for a few weeks and say, oh, it's not working for me. Right? So working basically on yourself and building yourself, raising your standards of leadership is what we want to do. So it's not for dabblers. Right? This is not a program for these three. Now, why are we doing this? To help you. It's a good karma, basically, just to help you out in these times. Also to help me. Some of you might want to become one of my clients and want to have personal interaction with me to help you to reach your goals we talked about today and become the leader your team can do anything for. So when you win, we win. So if we discover that you're not a good fit, that's totally fine too. We'll do our best to point you in the right direction in that call. But if it is a good fit, then we can decide how to move forward, right? So there's no pressure. It's not a sales call that I'm doing with you. It's just a call where we actually help you with those 3 steps, right? So we're not selling you anything. We don't want to sell you anything. So just feel comfortable to come on that call, right? The idea is to really help you. So what's the next step? You can book your call with us. There is a link I can share with you at the end, and also you'll get an email with the same link, so you can just go ahead and book your call with me, and our team, one of us will respond to it. If sometimes I also respond on that call. So on that call, like I said, we'll do 3 things. The easiest way to get you to have high performing teams, what you can do to ensure your team performance doubles up in the next 90 days or less, and what is the best strategy you should have to remove any roadblocks on it. So these are the 3 things that we're going to do. So I'll share the link with you, and the way to book this call would be you'll get this, this Calendly page, and then you can check the slots that are available, the dates and the slots, and then you can fill up your details like this here, and yeah, that's it. Then you get your Zoom link. So that's what you would do. So if this feels like a good fit, you can book a call, and I'll just share that link with you. So this is our ultimate result system, and thank you for being a great audience. If you have any questions, I can quickly address them now, or else you can always book a call and we can have a lengthier conversation, as you wish.
No, I'm good, Sindhu. I must say, good content and quite a relevant content, I would say, for most of the organizations, facing such some or all the challenges that you've highlighted. Good content, and thanks for your taking out time and giving us the session.
Welcome, Vivek. I hope it was useful for you in some way, and happy to connect again if you need any support.
That was very nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Vivek. Thank you. If you have any other questions, anyone, or we can. Do you want me to send you that link? Okay, I can just put it in the chat. You'll get the link also in the email.